Hi guys, this is Teacher Patty. I'm an accounting teacher, accounting tutor, and also an accounting lecturer. I just wanted to have this video for my beloved grade 12s on how to master accounting, how to possibly get a distinction in accounting in your matric exams. It's still early on in the year, so you can still put effort to get those distinctions. So the most important thing about accounting that I'd like to remind the students is that it is not a sprint. It is a marathon. It is a calculated effort. So you're not going to wake up in October and get 100% in your exams if it was not a consistent effort throughout the year. So what that means is clearly you need to start putting, maybe I can just start with tip number 1. From grade 11. From grade 11. After June, because we are requested as teachers to finish the syllabus around about June exams for the year. Then anything that happens after June is revision. But it is important, if you are an accounting student, to start preparing for grade 12 in grade 11. So that means you acquire an accounting textbook. You will ask your teacher of the prescribed textbook in accounting. I always prescribe a New Era because it is the learner book and it has the two exercise workbooks. Please don't get the old New Era. Get the 2022 version, preferably, because checks have been cancelled in South Africa last year. So businesses no longer use checks. They use EFT transfers. It's much safer that way. A check can get stolen, forged, or anything. But now EFTs, there is better controls for it, like EFTs through internet banking. Yes. So get the New Era that talks about EFT, and I think it's the 2022 version. It talks about EFT. So just go to any retailer, P&A, any retailer, and just go and check for the materials and the resources there, and then start doing each and every exercise. If you're gonna get a distinction in accounting, do each and every exercise in the textbook, attempted in the exercise workbook where the student answers, and then see if you can attempt the question. If you can't attempt it, ask for a teacher or a tutor in this sense. If you're feeling like you don't know if you did well, ask the teacher. If you've got teacher guides, or ask your tutor. They should have teacher guides to check the progress on your exercises. So I must also highlight that that's tip number 2. So the first tip is get a textbook. Get a textbook and the workbook, the learner workbook and the learner book. The learner book is the textbook. I recommend a new era. My mentors in the clusters, they recommend New Era. We've done with tip number 1. And also in tip number 1, we talked about preparing in grade 11 for grade 12. Okay, let's do tip number 2. So in tip number 2, do not waste time in partnerships. They are not examinable. So don't waste time in them. They're not going to come out in your grade 12 exams. So even if you've mastered them, it's just for your own information, not for the accounting exam. So you'd rather use that time sparingly, because you don't have time. You're not doing accounting only. Most accounting students are also doing maths. So please do not waste time in partnerships. They're not going to be examined. Okay, that's tip number 2. So tip number 3, I said accounting is not a sprint. Accounting is a marathon. Put an hour and a half, or 2 hours every day, including weekend. So if you're gonna put weekends, so then 1.5 hours I recommend every day. The first thing is kill the textbook. So meaning do the exercises in the textbook. For example, if you're doing companies, start with the textbook. It's gonna give you the foundation. This is what my mentors recommended, who've been teaching forever in both the public schools, the government schools, and the IEB schools. So this is accounting overall for grade 12s. Do the exercises in the textbook first, but be quick, because you just need to get the principles. You need to get the principles and know why you're doing this. Spend ample time then on the question papers. So this is merged with tip number 4 or 3. I think I'm losing count now. So you first master the textbook here. That is tip number 3. You master the textbook. Tip number 4 is be quick in mastering the textbook. Run and spend ample time in question papers. For example, in the textbook, they're going to teach you so much about the principle. Let's say, what is shareholders for dividend? What do you do to calculate shareholders for dividends? Go to the question papers. I download question papers as a teacher. I've got question papers that go as far back as 2009. As much as some of the methods in questioning, they get phased out, but and some of the content gets phased out. But it's interesting to learn the technique. As the technique will be old as time, even if the content gets phased out. But the technique, really, the questioning technique, it just improves. But the foundation is almost the same over the years. So get question papers and do yourself a favor. If you're studying in a public and a government school, don't only download metric papers that are from the government only. Get metric question papers from the IEB as well. Get metric question papers on A levels, that is the Cambridge curriculum. So don't stick to your own curriculum. So get question papers from the Umalusi, the ones that are written by public schools and government schools. Get question papers written by IEP schools, which is mostly your private schools. Get question papers on AS levels, A levels, which is the Cambridge curriculum. So if you want now to see how competent you are, then you can go through all these question papers. And if you can fly through without having any hiccup, then oh wow, congratulations, then you are ready to get that distinction. But if you feel like, now I'm struggling, I'm flying through in Cambridge, but in IEP I'm struggling, in the government question papers I'm struggling, that's where you can pick up and get help as early as possible. You're not gonna start looking for help in September. It's gonna be overwhelming. You're not doing subject as the accounting as the only subject, rather, but you've got many subjects, so you can't leave this for September. It can never be left for September at all. So start your question paper practice across all different examination boards, the government one, Umalusi, IEB, and also the Cambridge curriculum. Okay, that's tip number 4. It was a big one. Tip number 5, manage your portfolio. Manage the marks that go to your portfolio. So the portfolio that's going to give you the entry mark in the exam, try to aim for 80s. On the control test, on the control test, the assignments and the tasks that you're given, try to aim for a 80. You've got control on that, in the sense that you are taught by your teacher. You are taught by your teacher. The teacher gives the scope, and the teacher is aware of what's going to be covered. So unlike the metric exam, your teacher is not the examiner. So in that sense, you have to expect anything really. So the portfolio is easier to manage. is easier to manage, and it will give you a legwork in terms of having a better entry marks in the exam, like your portfolio marks. And then in the exam you can do justice knowing that you already have a cushion to lie on. It's a bit difficult to think you're going to get a distinction and you've got a horrible portfolio. Remember I said accounting is a calculated game, it's not a sprint. So you have to play each and every part in the game perfectly. Okay, that is tip number 5. Tip number 6. If you are struggling now, get extra classes. There are extra classes in the townships. There are extra classes that are very affordable, like 800 in a month. That's if you're staying in a township or you're familiar with the township. It ranges from 800 a month, 600 a month. If you're privileged, get a tutor. Get a tutor. You need someone to carry you by hand. The accounting periods we have at school, it might not be enough for you to master the subject, because accounting is very big. It's mathematics. So if you feel like it's not making sense now, get a tutor. Even if it's making sense, get a tutor. Get weekend classes. Get the extra support you need. That's tip number 6. Okay, so tip number 7, work closely with your accounting teacher. Do not have unnecessary commotion with your accounting teacher. You need your accounting teacher on your side. I'm saying that because the work that you need to do as a student, it should reflect the best possible of your potential and of your abilities. So please work with your teacher and be an easy to manage student that submits work on time. It will make your life much easier. It will make your portfolio work much easier. See, if this student that doesn't hand time, work on time, that doesn't write tests, as much as the teacher is asked to do his or her work, to favor the student, because we're here, we're hired to help the student. But if you don't put in the effort, there's nothing a teacher can do. If you've not returned the test, there's nothing a teacher can do. Even if they give you the second opportunity, third opportunity to improve your marks for your portfolio, if you still don't put effort, there's nothing much a teacher can do. So if you already go with a low portfolio mark, you're already defeated. So have the good relationship with your teacher. It will really assist you. The last tip I want to share is, don't study accounting vertically. Study accounting horizontally. What do I mean by that? If you study accounting, especially for those who are doing IEB, if you're studying it vertically, when you're doing practice and you want to master one bit at a time. You heard the saying that Rome was not built in a day. If you're doing a statement of comprehensive income, seek to understand the different ways each element of the statement of comprehensive income can be assessed. What do I mean? Instead of you trying to master how sales, cost of sales, and expenses can be asked in a question in one go, you're gonna get defeated. You're gonna feel like this is too much, this is too mathematical. I don't even understand why we had to do this, because your mind is struggling to pick up a pattern. Now, if you want to understand how sales can be assessed, so you go to old question papers across all streams and you just pick up sales. How can it be assessed? You'll find different patterns of how sales is assessed. I can tell you now, a sales figure can come from a net profit before tax. It can be a percentage of net profit before tax, net profit after tax. It can be subtracting debtors' allowances and also reversing a credit note, or also adding a credit note that was a credit invoice that was forgotten, or also stock being sold at 10% lower than cost price. So you see, now I can sing how sales can come out. It didn't happen because I practiced as a teacher. I also practiced. It didn't happen because I practiced vertically. It happened because I practiced horizontally. Same as cost of sales. Seek to understand for each and every year, how did they assess the cost of sales? Note the method down. You'll pick up the pattern that, no man, if you IB asked cost of sales this way, go to the government paper, you'll find that they assessed it this way. And there your mind can pick a pattern, and it can be at ease. So in conclusion, in any subject, in any studies that I've embarked on individually, getting the principles first, and also giving all, my all into previous past papers, and also looking at the examiner comments. There is examiner comments on past papers. If you look at those, they will tell you the pitfalls. They'll also tell you if students finished on time. They'll tell you the averages. So you want to go through that so that you can polish on where examiners always pick difficulty in each year. So I hope this helps. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel. There is going to be content coming in on frequent intervals. So please subscribe, and you're going to be getting material, but that will be sold. But I will share as much as possible in my YouTube channel, because you need to get that accounting distinction. Thank you.